first want to thank you for continuing to support this More Ascension channel on this fundamental journey of ascension. Though I've not recently made many videos, this journey continues to be a mind-blowing experience. In that vein, I decided to go in a little deeper on astrology. It's helped me, and I hope it can help you to know thyself a bit deeper. Did you catch my foundational you findings report? I've done a few of them now. I, of course, made my own foundational you findings report, and rereading my astrology has opened up more opportunities to know thyself. I gave an overview of astrology in my earlier video, Who Are You? Part 2. I follow the law of one, the raw material. I'll have to do an overview video on it soon. I was reading a law of one post in Reddit, and someone asked, what does the law of one say about astrology? I've included a great answer that follows. I have added 2 references to denote the law of one book, session, and page the quotes are from. And I haven't seen the author's documentary by the time I drop this video. The Reddit post is from author 555 DJB123, made 4 years ago. The link is on the screen.
I am a big fan of astrology, so much so that I made a documentary on it, which you can see. The link is in the screen. I am also a big fan of the Law of One, having been studying it since I was 17. I'm 29 now. So this is a question that I have studied myself quite a bit. The answer is in 2 parts. First, in the way most people think of astrology, using the birth chart to understand someone. Ra confirms this is a valid use. However, they stress that it is only indicative of basic areas of distortion and thus should not be taken as fate. Edgar Cayce said the same thing. The chart is a rough sketch of who someone might be, but at any time the entity can transcend their chart through spiritual growth. Here is the quote.
I'm interjecting that this is from the Law of One, Book 1, Session 19, pages 182 and 183. Also, that Western Zodiac is stated only because Rai mentions 12 signs instead of 13 or 14 in the astrology. End of my interjection.
Questioner, is this then the root of what we call astrology?
Ra, I am Ra. This will be the last full question of this session. The root of astrology, as you speak it, is one way of perceiving the primal distortions which may be predicted along probability-possibility lines given the, shall we say, cosmic orientations and configurations at the time of the entrance into the physical, mental complex of the spirit and at the time of the physical, mental, spiritual complex into the illusion. This then has the possibility of suggesting basic areas of distortion. There is no more than this. The part astrology plays is likened unto that of one root among many.
525 DJB123 goes on to state,
Second, Ra states that there are 3 modalities on our planet that can be used to understand the archetypal mind of the galaxy: Tarot, Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, and the Western Zodiac. The 22 archetypes are present in each tradition. Dawn chose Tarot, and thus there is an extensive discussion of Tarot in the later sessions. Ra said that each is just as valid as the other, and the seeker should just choose the one that is most resonant with them. Here is that quote.
Questioner, is there, in Ra's opinion, any present-day value for the reuse of the tarot as an aid in the evolutionary process?
Ra, I am Ra. We shall repeat information. It is appropriate to study one form of constructed and organized distortion of the archetypical mind in depth in order to arrive at the position of being able to become and to experience archetypes at will. You have 3 basic choices. You may choose astrology, the 12 signs, as you call these portions of your planet's energy web, and what has been called the 10 planets. You may choose the tarot with its 22 so-called major arcana. You may choose the study of the so-called Tree of Life with its 10 Sephiroth and the 22 relationships between the stations. It is well to investigate each discipline, not as a dilettante, but as one who seeks the touchstone, one who wishes to feel the pull of the magnet. One of these studies will be more attractive to the seeker. Let the seeker then investigate the archetypical mind using, basically, one of these three disciplines. After a period of study, the discipline mastered sufficiently, the seeker may then complete the more important step. That is, the moving beyond the written in order to express in a unique fashion its understanding, if you may again pardon the noun, of the archetypical mind.
End of 555DJB123 Reddit post. I have included this information to denote that astrology is one of the oldest forms of expressing third density reality, which is the densest of the densities of matter, and is acceptable under the law of one, where everything is an expression of the Creator. Merriam-Webster defines an archetype as the original pattern or model of which all things of the same type are representations or copies. Prototype. I mentioned the house system in my earlier video, but I realized I didn't really know my astrology from the perspective of the house system. I decided to look at my planets and signs that are in the various houses and what that means for my personal astrology. So I am specifically looking at it from the perspective of the houses. A house is a section of astrology that governs a specific area of your life. Houses in a chart are numbered here around the hub. Then come the planets and then the signs. It's usually presented the other way around. First is discussed the sign, then the planet. The houses are usually not discussed unless a deeper dive is being explained. As you look at various charts, you will see that the position of the houses don't change, but the signs associated with them do change positions. And the planets, of course, change markedly for everyone. And there are several labels for each house. Here are some labels below. I will be using the tarot.com website's labels for this video, although they sometimes use other labels. First house, self-identity. Second house, personal resources. Third house, immediate environment. Fourth house and Yom, home and family. Fifth house, your expression. Sixth house, daily life. Seventh house, relationships. Eighth house, shared resources. Ninth house, higher learning. 10th house, career and reputation. 11th house, friends and aspirations. 12th house, spiritual life. Before we go into the house perspective, let me remind you of the big three in astrology. They are your sun sign, moon sign, rising or ascendant. And it's become my opinion, your moon nodes, which we will just touch on at the end. Without going into detail, because they are not the focus, here are the big three. Sun sign presents your ego structure, it reveals your character. Moon sign presents your personal life, it represents your inner, emotional, and unconscious life. Ascendant rising sign represents your external appearance to the world. Okay. Now on to the focus of this video, the house structure and multiple planets in one house. Do you have 3 or more planets in one house? This is called a stellium in astrology. On Reddit, one post says it's rare, one post says it's not common but not rare. Astrology.com says stelliums, pretty rare. Astrological configurations are a cluster of planets that strengthen the energy of whatever sign and house they fall in. Oftentimes, if you find that you don't relate to your sun sign, it can indicate that you have a stellium of planets in a different sign, offsetting your leading luminary. Here's more information on them. What a stellium means: when you have 3 or 4, including the sun or moon, or more planets in one sign in your birth chart, it's referred to as a stellium. Stelliums tend to intensify the qualities of the sign they take place in, making it incredibly easy to identify with that sign's traits. How to know if you have a stellium. In order to find out if you have a stellium in your birth chart, you'll want to enter your birth data into a birth chart calculator. Once you pull up your chart, you'll want to check to see if any of the planets are in the same house, which is pretty likely. If you have 3 or more planets in one house, this means that you have a stellium in your birth chart. I have 4 planets in one house in my birth chart. Okay, so you get the idea. Multiple planets in the same house has a doubling or multiplying effect on your personality. Depending on the planet's compatibility, stelliums can be supportive and harmonious or tense and challenging. For example, if the stellium in your birth chart involves the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter, It could be more beneficial. However, it might be more constructive or challenging if it involves the Moon, Mars, and Saturn. Astrotalk.com describes stellium as, when 3 planets unite in one house, they form a cosmic symphony, blending their energies and archetypal qualities. Here are some possible scenarios and their interpretations. 1. Harmonious alignment. If the 3 planets are compatible and share similar energies, it can indicate a harmonious and balanced expression of the house's themes. This alignment can bestow talents, opportunities, and personal growth in that specific area of life. 2. Tense conjunction. In contrast, when the planets have conflicting energies, it may create inner tension and challenges. However, these challenges can serve as opportunities for personal growth and transformation, pushing you to overcome obstacles in that life area. 3. Balanced configuration. Sometimes the planets may form a balanced configuration, with one acting as a mediator between the other 2. This can lead to a more stable and integrated expression of the house's themes. They also suggest how to utilize this astrological feature of your chart. Embracing the cosmic gifts. Regardless of the alignment's nature, having 3 planets in one house offers unique cosmic gifts and challenges. It's essential to embrace these energies and use them to your advantage. Here are some tips to make the most of this celestial configuration. 1. Self-reflection. Take time to reflect on the house's themes and how the 3 planets manifest in your life. Self-awareness is the first step toward harnessing their potential. 2. Seek guidance. Consulting with an experienced astrologer can provide valuable insights into your birth chart and the specific influences of the planetary conjunction in your life. 3. Adaptability. Embrace change and adapt to the energies at play. Life is a journey, and these planetary alignments are part of your unique path. 4. Balance. Strive for balance in the house's area of influence. Too much emphasis on one aspect can lead to imbalance, while a holistic approach can lead to fulfillment. 5. Personal growth. Recognize that challenges are opportunities for personal growth. Use the energies of the planets to overcome obstacles and evolve as an individual. Astrology.com suggests there are some variations based on the trait of the sign the stellium is in. 3 or more planets in one sign. The sign your stellium is placed in can determine the qualities you're able to tap into the easiest. In fact, you might even be prone to excessive behavior as it relates to the sign or house your stellium is placed in, as there's an overwhelming amount of planetary energy tied to that sign. If you have a stellium in the cardinal, fire sign of Aries, for example, it's probably incredibly easy to initiate new endeavors with excitement and vigor. It just might be a challenge finishing what you start. If you have a stellium in the fixed earth sign of Taurus, you might prioritize comfort and security over everything and hate being rushed. It's likely a real challenge to work against the energy of your stellium, given it's such a potent configuration. The house your stellium falls in can also describe the areas of your life that tend to be incredibly significant. They go on to provide the possible significance of the stellium in the various houses. First house stellium. If you have 3 or more planets placed in your first house of self, you're meant to prioritize developing your sense of autonomy and independence over most things. It might sound selfish, but it's essential that you put yourself first. And based on the planets involved, it's essential that you allow yourself to channel those energies outwardly as much as possible. Second house stellium. Money and resources are incredibly emphasized if you have 3 or more planets in this house, and the relationship you have with your own time, finances, and energy is strongly highlighted. The nature of your relationship to this house is determined by the planets placed here, but overall, many decisions you make in life are most likely fueled by your desire to obtain or secure possessions. Third house is stellium. If you have 3 or more planets in this house, you prioritize communication, learning, and your personal hobbies more than the other aspects of your life. Because this is also the house of siblings and close relatives, you might find that you have a significant relationship with either one or more of your family members. The third house also rules over short-term travel, so you're constantly on the go. Fourth house stellium. With the fourth house stellium, your home, family, and heritage are typically an incredibly important part of your life and are the determining factor of many of your decisions in life. The planets involved can add more context to the relationship you have with your parents as well as your lineage, and because this house is at the very bottom of the chart, it can also indicate that you're someone who prioritizes privacy. Fifth house stellium. With 3 or more planets in the fifth house of creativity, children, pleasure, and romance, this is likely an area of your life that you tend to prioritize more than others. Because this is considered to be one of the most fortunate houses in a birth chart, you might find that you're constantly seeking to be entertained, or you entertain others often. Your children or the children you spend time around have a significant impact on you. Sixth house stellium. If you have 3 or more planets in the sixth house, you're someone who focuses on your work, routines, health, and habits. It can be challenging to navigate life without some sort of ritual in place based on the planets that are placed in this house. This is considered to be one of the houses centered around labor, so you're likely someone who's always aiming to be productive and of service to others. With a stellium in this house, it's important that you use your energy wisely. While it's great to keep busy, it's important that you're busy with the right things. Seventh house stellium. If you have a seventh house stellium in your birth chart, your romantic relationships and partnerships are essential, especially close personal ones. With a stellium in this house, it's important that you find a way to maintain boundaries between yourself and other people, because it can become very easy to prioritize others over yourself. Eighth house stellium. If you have a stellium in the 8th house, shared resources, boundaries, and the affairs of others are integral to your life. As one of the dark houses in astrology that deals with death, secrets, and finances, having a stellium of planets here can be a challenge. Depending on which planets are involved, you could have positive experiences in these areas. In this house, it's essential to define what your responsibility is versus what isn't with planets here, as an 8th house stellium can emphasize other people's reliance on you. 9th house stellium. With a 9th house stellium, you're interested in travel, knowledge, and expanding your mind, usually more so than others. You might find that long-distance journeys are an incredibly important part of your life, or you seek out experiences with college, higher education, and regale with writing, teaching, or speaking. With a stellium in this house, your views on the world are highlighted as well, making you a natural-born philosopher, regardless of the planets placed here. 10th house stellium. If you have 3 or more planets in this house, you're someone who prioritizes your career, vocation, or public image. You're most likely or will become known publicly for something, and the planets in this house will add insight into what this area or industry will be. You're bound to make a mark on the world through your profession with a stellium here, so it's important that you embrace the limelight. 11th house stellium. Your friends, community, and social groups are a major priority if you have 3 or more planets here, and the nature of the planets can describe the experiences you have amongst your alliances. Because this is one of the social houses, you're someone who's usually surrounded by a collective, and you just might be the person responsible for bringing others together. 12th house stellium. With a 12th house stellium, you might find mental health, withdrawal, and isolation are essential parts of your life. Your alone time is incredibly important. And based on the planets placed here, this solitude could either be a period of intense growth, or it could be more challenging. As the final and most afflicted house of the birth chart, having a stellium of planets here means that you likely have a personal relationship to suffering. It might be someone others come to for counsel or insight around hardships. To round out the house system, I'll briefly touch on the moon nodes, as they are a study unto themselves. The north and south moon nodes, they always reside in houses opposite one another in your chart. These moon nodes reflect your karma and how to resolve it while you are here on Earth. They are often called the nodes of destiny. Your north node represents what you're growing into. Your south node represents the kind of person that you're leaving behind. When it comes to your moon nodes, the key is to have balance. If you have a chart that has multiple planets associated with multiple houses, based on what I'm finding, that might be rare. In summary, my point is to take a little time and look at yourself through the astrological houses in your birth or natal chart. They could yield significant understanding about your past, your current status, and possible future. I've done a few birth charts for a few foundational U findings reports, and I'll be updating those reports with the very interesting findings from the house perspective in their reports. So pull out your old natal/birth charts, take 5 minutes and visually check your chart from a house system perspective. If you have multiple planets in that house, you have another dimension of you defined that you may be overlooking that may help you in knowing thyself even better. Tarot.com will give you a free birth chart. You will need to study it carefully. Until next time, I wish you power and peace, love and light of the one infinite creator, Adonai.